result, the role of the modern wood turner was greatly reduced. Today, however, wood turning is kept alive through the dedication and passion of craftsmen like Allan Holler. His beautiful work is a testament to the importance of preserving the age-old woodcraft techniques that have been handed down through the centuries.
Allan, how are you, man?
Eric, good to meet you.
Beautiful Appalachian Mountains.
It's lovely country up here.
It's cold, though.
It is.
Let's get inside. Thank you, sir. All right. Look at all these lathes.
Yeah, I've accumulated them over several years.
Why so many?
Well, they're each sort of good at different things. This was my first one, this one back here.
Okay.
This one is sort of a general purpose lathe. This lathe in the middle, it's good for big bowls.
A little more specialized?
Yeah, plus it allows you to get access to a big bowl with less strain, which is a good thing for me. This one is a sort of, it's good for doing vases, for doing bowl cores when I'm saving salad bowls and things like that.
All right, all right. So what do you got going on over here?
So this is more the general woodworking area down here, bandsaws, joiners, table saw, drill press, those kind of things, miter saw. This is mostly a preparation area for the lathe or a preparation area for the stuff that's on over here, which is where all of the carving and the grinding and shaping is carried on.
So how did all this come about?
It's all started out backwards. I started out as a furniture restorer and refinisher.
Get out of here.
No, I did. Fell into that job by accident, turned out to be fairly good at it. The guy I was working for couldn't pay me, so I went into business for myself. And then when I got married, my wife wanted me to move the shop up here, so I did. And this was all just a refinishing shop at one time. Everything except the spray room was in here.
Oh, wow.
And somewhere along the way, I saw a picture of a bowl in a magazine, thought, well, that would be cool, because I'd had to get a lathe to make parts with. You know, because if you're gonna, you got to repair stuff, pieces of chairs and so forth. And as time went on, I discovered that, lathe work is a lot more fun. Mm-hmm. You don't have to breathe nearly as much chemical. And at the end of the day, you can set a piece down on the table and it has an objective reality. People see it. You see it. That's what you did today. It lasts forever. This is mostly off the lathe or bench work, power carving, wood burning, shaping of one sort and another. Uh-huh. And it's really where the most interesting part of the design process kicks in. You have almost infinite possibilities. It's also the dustiest and messiest part. I've never had any education in carving, so you don't really you can teach yourself power carving pretty easy, but it does make a big mess.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So before we start getting ourselves all messy, why don't we just head to the house, grab a cup of coffee, let the shop warm up, and then we'll come back and make some chips.
Hey, that sounds like a plan.
All right, man.
All right, let's do that. This is just so beautiful out here.
It's about as good as you can hope for in February in this part of the country.
I mean, and all the woods around you and stuff, that's got to have a good connection for you, right?
Yeah, well, I live in the middle of my supermarket pretty much.
That's a great way to put it.
In the middle of my source of supply. It changes the way you look at a walk in the woods, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because used to you go and say, oh, what wonderful trees, and now I'll go, well, I can make a really good bowl out of that. Well, shall we go in?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you were younger, did you enjoy working with your hands? Did you grow up around that?
Well, I actually did grow up around it. My father was a village handyman.
Oh.
Fixed stuff, made coffins, all kinds of stuff.
Get out of here.
Or not my father, my grandfather. And my father built furniture all his life, mostly pianos and organs by the time I was old enough to tell. And I pretty successfully avoided any entanglement with that.
You did?
I mean, I originally thought I was going to be, I don't know what, something different, something cerebral and intellectual. And discovered I really didn't have the academic rigor for that. I stumbled into the job refinishing furniture because I needed a job and one became available, and sort of crept into woodworking backwards.
You spent all this time growing up around woodworkers in your family and really didn't want anything to do with it at the time when you were younger. Did you go to college and whatnot?
Briefly. I went very briefly to Chapel Hill, to UNC at Chapel Hill.
What did you do before you got into turning wood?
Oh, a little everything. I've been a garbage man. I worked in a dye house and a textile factory. Worked in furniture factories and chair factories, and first one thing and another. I was a working foreman at a warehouse in San Diego for a while.
Wow. So in the entire process of making a bowl or turning something, what's your favorite part?
The best part is the end, when all of the fussy work is done, the sanding is done, you got the piece completely ready to be finished, and you wet it with whatever kind of finish you're going to be using, and all of a sudden it just goes boom.
Comes
all
alive.
The color and the figure just jumps right out, and you can actually see for real what you've known in your head was going to happen. And so that's really the moment you're working for, is that one moment when you first wet it for the finish.
Have you ever gotten to a point where you get all the way to the end there, you put your finish on and you're not happy with the results, or it doesn't do exactly what you thought it was going to do?
Yeah. Actually, I tend to, for just a minute, even no matter how badly I've missed the mark, for just a minute, I still love it.
Right.
But I may come back the next day and go, I got to back up.
Yeah. But you're not scared to abandon it and move forward,
You know,
right?
I don't think you can be.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be scared to. I mean, you've got to start losing interest in a piece as soon as it's done.
Oh yeah.
You know, you've got to have more interest in the one you're going to do than the one you just did, or you just stay in the same place all the time. It's really good to understand at the very beginning that sharp tools are critical.
Sure.
I sort of spent the first 5 or 7 years of my turning experience pursuing what I call the BFMI approach, with just brute force and massive ignorance. If it won't cut, don't sharpen, just lean harder. There's a limit to how far that can take you, not to mention the fact that it's physically very debilitating.
And real dangerous.
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways. And if something is going to come apart, if you're pushing on it harder, it comes apart faster.
Oh, yeah.
And when something disassembles on a lathe at 500, 1,000 RPM, it's very exciting for just a second or two. And I've broken light bulbs out over my head and broken a window to one side of the lathe one time. I've had a couple of pieces bounce against me, but usually nothing really major has happened so far. I've been fortunate in that regard.
Do you see yourself as a craftsman or an artist or an entrepreneur?
No, I wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur. I'm just marginally successful and not nearly enough to call myself that. I try to approach the work as a craftsman, but I really feel like art is almost inevitable.
Do you ever think much about the legacy of your pieces and the legacy of your work?
Future will take care of itself. I can't do a lot to influence that. What I can influence is my work and the way I do it and what work I'm willing to let go outside the shop.
Well, thanks for the coffee, man. How about we get to work?
Sounds good to me. Let's go make some chips fly.
Sounds good. Let's do it. All right, so what are we doing here, man?
We're going to chainsaw a piece of stock. So we're going to take some piece of wood. We can take that piece of wood if you like.
Like this?
Yeah, just like that.
And then how do we know what size to cut it?
I have a template.
Ah, templates.
Which is going to do two things. It'll give me the size and it'll also mark the center. And what I want to do is try to match up the curve of the log. Like the curve is very steep over here, kind of shallow over here. So I'm going to favor to this side of center just a little bit. Drive that nail in.
Your tool, sir.
Then see if the chainsaw will start.
There we go.
Give it a try?
Yeah.
Just leaves us a little gap.
Nice.
Now from this point, it's too small to safely cut with a chainsaw.
Right.
So from this point, we'll take it inside, we'll work on it with a bandsaw.
Oh, cool. It's getting warm out here.
Yeah, right.
gotta tell you, one of the things I like about working with you is all the equipment is at my height. It's all at my working height. You know, I'm not hunched over or trying to figure it out.
Yeah, which is unusual because usually I have to build up a floor for people to come in if they're taking lessons.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
So we're gonna use this lathe.
Right, we're going to use this lathe, and we've already cut the stock down to the size we want to turn,
Yep.
and I've bored a hole in it.
Now that's the same hole that the nail was in, right?
The nail. We
Yep.
drove the nail through the template to establish that hole. That gives us the center. So I've bored a pilot hole, and we're going to thread it up on a screw center. Now, when you're really brave, you get it started and turn the lathe on and just grab the piece.
Right. That sounds safe.
Oh, it is. It's completely safe. It's ridiculously dangerous.
What is this?
This is the tool rest.
Okay.
So this is the surface that we'll be laying the tool on,
Okay.
helping us to control it as we make the cut.
And what kind of tool will we be using?
3/8 bowl gouge, which is confusingly enough a 1/2 inch in diameter.
But it's called the 3/8 bowl gouge.
Blame the English.
Okay. All right.
They did it.
I
have
got it.
no idea why. And it's sharpened in something that's called a side grind.
Oh. Now, do you grind these yourself?
I do.
You do.
You pretty much have to learn to sharpen as you learn to turn. You go through, you know, even something this small, I'll be running this edge over several miles of wood.
Okay.
So there's no way to keep it sharp that whole time. You got to learn to do it yourself. So what you want to do is first bring the tool rest up. So go ahead and bring it up at an angle.
And then you lock it in?
Lock it in so that sits still, and then give the piece a turn by hand and make sure it's not going to hit.
Okay.
Where it has to go to get to about 1,000 RPM. So the first thing you want to do is you lay it down with the flute, this groove, straight up. 1,000 RPM. So the first thing you want to do is you lay it down with the flute, this groove, straight up. You roll that flute over about 45 degrees.
Okay.
Drop the handle roughly 45 degrees. Line up that bevel on the nose of the tool with the direction of the cut you want to make.
Okay.
And trap everything over against your body.
Use your body
Use
English.
your body. And you'll slide it along the lathe and control the curve by how fast you swing your hips to the side.
Nice.
And you'll be turning it on and off frequently. Because
Why?
well, it's really not really safe to move the tool rest
While it's doing.
while it's turning.
Okay.
Because you may have your hand in there,
Yep.
and that can be unfortunate. Also, it gives you a chance to look, see what the wood's looking like. You may want to change something just because of the way the wood looks. What I'm trying to do is not look here where I'm cutting, but look over here.
Right.
The opposite side of the work, what you might call the horizon line of the work. Because you can see one of two things. You can see the cut or you can see the form. You can't see both at once. It's just not possible. So I can see that the curve is starting to come to be a pretty nice curve, but up here I've still got a lot of irregular wood. I've got the rough part out, so you want to take a cut?
Yeah. I'm gouging it.
See, again, you're not really swinging far enough over to your right.
So how many different gouging tools do you have? I mean, I would think you'd have a whole bunch of them.
I got lots. But basically you need 4. A 1/2 inch and a 3/8 bowl gouge, and a 1/2 inch and a 3/8 spindle gouge, which you're going to see here shortly.
All right.
And maybe a parting tool. That will do most everything you need. We got a sort of rough shape to the bowl.
Okay. It does look
And-
like a bowl.
Yeah, it's starting to look bowl-like now. And no matter what we do, though, we can't get the inside of the bowl from this mounting. We have to grab it from this end somehow or another. So what we're going to do is make a tenon on the bottom of this to fit a different chuck.
Oh, so you've got a different chuck that'll go in this head.
Right.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So you want to trade places with me, so I'll be
Yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
So what I'm going to do is measure and use a parting tool to size a tenon, and then I'm going to use a spindle gouge to cut an angle.
Okay.
So that'll be the next step. And because I want to size, I'm going to do one of my few measuring operations here. So I'm just going to take a set of calipers.
And those are already set up for that?
These are already set to 1.5 inch gap. And I'm going to just cut about a 3/16, 1/8 inch or 3/16 straight tenon on the ends.
So those calipers just slide right
As soon
over.
as the calipers drop through.
Yep.
So what I want to do is take this loose.
And this is going to allow us to actually turn it into a bowl to hollow out
and
the
hollow
inside.
out the inside because it'll be unsupported on the front side and we
Right.
can get in. We've roughed out the outside and taken a certain amount of the edge off of this tool.
Okay.
And so I'm going to switch it for a sharper one. The general rule of thumb is that if you are wondering if your tool is dull, you should have sharpened it 5 minutes ago.
It's a good rule.
Yeah, there's no such thing as too sharp.
How many bowls do you think you've made?
A couple of thousand maybe altogether if you count them all.
A couple thousand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably 150 or 200 leg bowls and thousands, at least 1,500 of these smaller burl bowls.
Wow. You've cut these two gouges in here, right? And then you gave me this this wire tool.
Yeah.
Which is just a piece of wire.
It's just a piece of iron or steel wire. It can be anything.
Okay.
The bigger the wire, the bigger the burn.
And then I'm just gonna press down on this.
Yep.
And the friction is actually just gonna burn the wood.
Burn a permanent mark into the wood.
It's gonna be smoky, isn't it?
It is.
Awesome.
Give it a shot.
Yeah. Oh, there it goes. How long do I keep it in?
You can stop any time now, most likely.
Look
Don't
at that.
Don't touch the wire.
No, that'll be hot.
There you go.
That looks great.
Now we're going to hollow this out.
Okay.
I'm going to mark how thick I want the wall to be.
Okay.
I normally wouldn't, but just so you can see kind of what I'm aiming for. So we'll turn it on. Again, pretty much the same speed. So we're going to aim for a wall thickness somewhere around 3/16 or 1/4 inch. It's right there. So don't cut the line away.
All righty.
So we're going to roll the flute over, an overhand grip, swing your body into it, and then just arc into the cut. It doesn't really take a whole lot to control it. You want to try?
Yes, please.
I can feel, and I guess that where we're at down is about here, but we can measure. You can lay a straight edge across the front of the bowl and just measure down in there to the lowest point. And that's coming up right at 2 inches.
Okay.
This is 3 inches deep. Just leave a 1/4 inch thick in the bottom for now, so we need to go 3/4 inch deeper than that right there. We could have bored a hole to establish the depth, but I almost never do that.
No.
Because I've done so many, so I
Right.
just sort of figure where it is. Have at it. I know I can do it.
Yeah. We'll see if
Give you a chance.
We'll see if I make a funnel or a bowl.
That's actually a pretty consistent wall thickness, which is incredibly surprising. Nobody ever does that. Nobody ever does that.
Well,
So
that's
you've
a
done
good
really
thing.
well. Now I've got just a tiny little bump right in the center. So we'll cut that out, and then this thing will be ready pretty much to sand. And that's how you make a bowl.
Nice.
There's still a little bump down there, but a little sandpaper will take that out, and it'll be fine.
This is really nice. I mean, it's a bowl.
It is indeed.
This is fantastic. You do power carving too, right?
I do, yes.
Now, do you often do turning and power carving
Frequently.
on the same piece?
Yes, quite frequently. And as I recall, I promised to show you some, so.
Do you mind?
No, let's go this way.
I'd love to see it, all right. So this is a beautiful piece of wood here. What is this?
This is big leaf maple burl. Came from Washington State. One of probably my favorite wood, actually.
It's beautiful. And this is where you do your carving at?
Yeah, all the power carving happens here. And most of it starts with these chainsaw carving tools, Lancelot discs. So there's two basic cuts. The roughing cut is just a chop in and drag, so you're going to like that. And then the other cut is just a sweeping cut to clean up. So once you've chopped and dragged for a while, you can sort of sweep side to side to clean up, kind of see what the wood's doing. So you want to try it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
That thing looks like a beast. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it'll rip it right out of there.
It sure is.
It's starting to dull a little bit, I think, or it would go even faster.
I mean, that really just gets in there, and it's pretty controllable, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
More than I thought it would be. This creates a lot of dust, and it's pretty fine, so.
Yeah, and if you do it very much,
What
you're
do you
going to want
use?
something. Most of the time, I'll either use a powered respirator, which is what this thing is.
Oh,
It's got a fan and filters up in here.
okay.
And so I'll use it for this part of it sometimes, but when you get to the detail work, this thing it's heavy and it bothers my neck.
Okay.
So I'll use
This
something more like this, and so you put it over your shoulders. So all of the weight is actually carried on your shoulders. Oh. And you just hold this in your lips.
Nice.
Most of the heavy dust falls away before it hits the filters.
Okay.
And then if you want to talk to somebody, you just drop it out of your mouth. So it's really handy, and it exhausts down so you can use a face shield and not fog it up.
Right. Well, Allan, man, I had a great time today. Thank you so much.
So have I. It's been a great pleasure.
A few days in the Appalachian Mountains with fantastic views and fresh air made me appreciate my time with Allan even more. I really enjoyed wood turning. From cutting the log with a chainsaw to carving the inside bowl, chips were flying the whole time, and it was great. It's always amazing to me when I learn techniques that are thousands or even hundreds of years old. We're all lucky to have people like Allan Holler keeping those skills alive.